I want to welcome you to Harvest Community Church. If we have not met before, my name is Hans, and I get to serve here as one of the pastors at Harvest, and we are entering into a new series, new time. This will carry us for the rest of the summer and a little beyond. I think we have 9 weeks of... Somebody whistling at me? Received. Thank you very much. And so the series you'll see is called Good Neighboring, and I want to tell you why we are beginning this series as opposed to any other series that we could be preaching at this time. And part of it is because it has to do with your prayers. At the beginning of the year, we asked our church family to be in prayer for us as we got ready for an elder retreat that was coming in February. And those prayers were for us individually, being us as individual members of Harvest, for our leadership, for the elders and the elder retreat in particular. And many of you were part of that kind of daily prayer journey as we got to the retreat. And we spent about 2 days together discussing our church family, the things we love about our church family, the things we would hope to see God do. And as we concluded that time, we had a significant burden that our church is two things. One, incredibly hospitable. The amount of stories of just people inviting others in, caring for those in their church family, providing for needs of one another, and really and truly demonstrating love was significant. And we saw that as a big strength of the members and people of Harvest. On the other side of that equation was, as we are still hospitable, we wondered why we struggled in the areas of outreach and evangelism. Now, I don't mean having outreach, but specifically having people far from God in our lives that we care deeply about and want to see God do a work of transformation, a transformation in them to bring them into a right relationship with the Father. So we had both of these things. And we thought, okay, well, on the one side, incredibly hospitable. On the other side, we have struggled to be demonstrably evangelistic. And I don't mean in that you have to be annoyingly persistent, but just bold and courageous to the people that God has put in our lives. And so the idea came about for us as a church family that we need to spend time as a church around the idea of what it means to be a good neighbor. And this is not just a sermon series on being a good neighbor. This is what we hope would be a culture strengthening for Harvest, convictional strengthening for Harvest. Not just, hey, we're going to do a series, hope it changes your life, let's move on. Because I've been in a lot of churches, you have as well, and sermon series don't save. They don't, very many of you kind of churn them. You go, hey, I think that was a good series. And then 2 years from now, you're like, I don't know. Courtney was reading me a verse even last night or this morning, and she goes, where's that from? And I was like, I said, I think that's from Ecclesiastes because I preached it. I should know. But if the one preaching it has to think it is there, then the one hearing it might have a little bit harder of an issue making that connection. And so along with just preaching about being a good neighbor, what we want to be able to do is provide actual structures on how God might use us as a church to strengthen what we are good at to bring about an area where we want to see transformation. Because we do want to be a church full of people, men, women, and children who live every day like people matter to God. That is not something that I think any of you have to question on a test or intellectually assent to. You know this. But then there's the knowing and the living. And we want to be a church full of people who live like people matter to God, who will not just declare it, but both declare it and live it both. So this series is the beginning of what we hope is a 2 or 3 year process of God changing us as a church. Because we want to be a church where anybody in Spring, or maybe even globally, could go, not anybody globally, that'd be a little hard, but even amongst the nations, maybe in Jinotega, Nicaragua, where they could say, I know that church, and I know those people, and I know what they care about. Because you will find, as you read New Testament epistles, that churches have reputations. As you read the letters from the angels in Revelation, you will find that churches have reputations. And we have begun already, since that retreat in February as elders, asking that God would grow our reputation as a church that cares deeply about those who are far from Him.